What's going on, folks? Welcome back to We the Champs. It's so good to be here and to be back. We've been hiatus for a few weeks. We've been very busy, man. I've moved into a new spot. I don't have the sports artwork yet up, but it's guaranteed to see some familiar pieces and even some new pieces. Ice up, son. That's just a little preview for what I'll have back here. But yes, good to be back, guys. I'm your host, Jalen, and we got our co-host, Uncle D, Coach, aka Phil Blackson of RunTheFood.com. If you're trying to be a chef or a bartender, hey, Run the Food. They got what it takes to show you. All right. But let's get into this, man. You want to start with NBA first or NFL?
Let's go NFL.
NFL?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. NFL going on. It was just the combine weekend, and you know how the combine is. I gotta say, it's not as exciting as it used to be.
It doesn't make any sense for anybody go out and throw. Nobody's trying to show out. They always do their own pro day. So
right.
Combine ain't what it used to be.
Yeah, I can't argue that, but I just wish you had your top QB guys out there. Like, how awesome would it have been if you had Shedeur and Cam Ward out there throwing passes, really trying to make their mark and say, hey, I'm that guy. I don't care. I'll come here. I'll do this thing. But from what I hear from scouts and other guys, combine doesn't really make that much of a difference. Now it does for some lower roster guys that are looking at the later rounds to get picked. And it's, if there is a stud back there that's very, very athletic trying to make a difference, then that can really improve their stock. I remember it was a Georgia wide receiver. This was like maybe 8-9 years ago. It was Chris Conley. That was his name.
Okay.
He was solid, man. He was a go-to pass catcher for Georgia back then. And then I looked at his draft, his combine stats, dude. It was off the charts. He ran like a 4.32. His vert was maybe like a 40, 42, 43, and stuff like that. Longer than I thought he was. Those things popped out in the combine that, you really didn't see on the field. So I feel like, for guys like that definitely improves their stock for sure.
Man, I think a lot of coaches, a lot of teams are getting away from looking at, and it sounds crazy, but looking away from a lot of those things for first round picks at the combine. So I was actually listening to a podcast earlier, and they were saying, like, Philadelphia, how they draft so well. They go through and they say, do they love playing football, and how do they perform on tape? How do they perform every Saturday? You can't really fake that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you want to take measurements and all that stuff, but actually, how you perform in big games. If you play for Georgia, how do you play against Alabama? If you play for Ohio State, do you show up against Michigan? Do you show up in big games? And for good teams, man, if you look at NFL, a lot of times the teams that are doing well drafting, they are using the metrics to an extent, but they're using the eye test on how they're playing in the actual games.
So, what two coaches, and this is just rolls together. You know what two coaches always go to the combine? Can you guess?
Who?
Andy Reid and Bill Belichick.
Okay.
There you go right there. Yeah. So, really sizing the guy up, not sizing him up like that, but, really meeting the guy, talking to him, see what he's about, and just, like seeing him in person is, I feel like that's vastly different from watching film or hearing from these guys like, oh, okay. And really get to see the man that you're going to draft and be like, all right, cool. I really want this guy on my team. That can really knock out some decisions, and that could actually make it a better decision for sure.
And taking into account years ago with the Wonderlic test,
the Wonderlic,
the Wonderlic test, how that's kind of screwed some players out of some top top picks and saying they scored low on that, but then they end up being an amazing pro. So it's no real formula, but I think coaches are really starting to pay attention to players that actually like love playing football. There's some players like Myles Garrett loves playing football.
Right.
Somebody that's out there that's doing it. Not just for the check, but they actually love going out there and play. Like Jalen Carter, like loves playing football, and so that's a huge thing. So,
and I peeped that watching it's like a back end in an NBA game, bro. I'm just us, we just watching games on Tuesday, Wednesday nights or whatever, and I'm seeing some of the guys out there on the roster. I'm like, bro, these guys just out here because this is what they do. This is like their job, and you know what I'm saying? These guys just out here, and like you said, just really separating it and picking,
guys that love playing their sport. Like with LeBron, like there's somebody like everybody knows I'm not like the biggest LeBron fan, but I respect LeBron probably just as much as anybody else, and that's somebody that you can never like question whether or not they love the game, that studies the game, who he doesn't take games off, and that's somebody you want to have playing for you. Even when it comes to somebody like Luka, that dude loves the game. So that's a crazy thought process to have. Or Jordan Love seems like he loves playing football. So there's a lot of people that get up every day, and it's more than just like you're going to be a millionaire, collect your checks. And I'm not going to drop names on people that I think are just doing it for a check, because I'm not in their head. But I mean, we all watch games and you're like, man, that dude doesn't seem like he's out there because he loves what they're doing. So we'll see how that carries over to this year's draft.
All right. And so now we're not necessarily making predictions. However, we're making our picks for what we'd like to see in the top 5. So you don't have to give like a pick for every top 5 pick unless you want to. But as far as the top prospects and the top 5 picks, maybe even number 6 or 7 of whoever's on there, who would you like to see go to what team necessarily? So I don't know if you had the list with you or you.
I gotta pull it up. So I know number 1 is Tennessee. I would like to see Cam Ward in Tennessee. I think
really.
I think Tennessee's not even. They have a decently talented team. Will Levis doesn't seem like he is the right fit for Tennessee, and the jury's still out. I think he's a decently talented player. He has arm strength.
Yeah. He has the tools.
He just might not. It might not be the right fit for him. He might end up being one of those Sam Darnold guys that needs to get on the right team. So if I was Tennessee and you have the number 1 pick, and they already have a decent defense, you have some decent offensive weaponry. Cam Ward is an accurate, tall, prototypical quarterback. Like I would go with Cam Ward.
Ward.
What are you thinking for your number 1 pick?
My number 1 pick, the Tennessee. I would like to see Tennessee draft Hunter.
You want to see them draft Hunter?
Yeah, because they can use the weaponry on offense, versatility on defense, and I believe Tennessee isn't, because he's a hyped up player. I don't know if you saw the combine interviews. They were interviewing one player on one side. He had a few news people over there and the media. Travis Hunter just had everybody over on his side, and I believe him going to Tennessee would just be, it's a smaller market up in Nashville. I think it'd just be better for him just to, stay out the limelight for a good bit part of it, especially for his rookie season to, just go out there and just play football.
Yeah, that'd be a great fit for him.
And then you look at the other teams. Let's see who else is through the top five. Well, none of them really have well, you got Jacksonville and with Lawrence, and then you have New England with May. But they're going to be very high. There will be higher expectations for him on the receiver side of the ball. If he was playing with Lawrence or maybe even a Drake May. So just keeping those expectations just right here and just staying out the heavy media would be pretty good for him, I believe.
Yeah, I think that they were talking to coaches today where they was like to see him. Like he would probably end up playing more corner and then have specific packages for him at receiver, which is tough, man, because he's such a playmaker with the ball in his hand. So it's like you want to see him in a position where he's gonna make the biggest impact in the game, and you want to see the brother get paid too. So like if I'm him, I'm looking at being a receiver because receivers get the most money,
Right,
so,
right. All right.
I would be cool. I would be cool with Hunter going to Tennessee. I think that'd be a good fit.
True. Now for the Browns, I don't want to see any quarterback. Look, I don't want to see any quarterback going to the Browns, man. Just since I started watching football, all the starting quarterbacks they've had, all the guys they drafted, it just never work out. If you're talking about the most successful quarterback they've had since I've been watching football, I think it was Baker Mayfield. And they had a good year with Derek Anderson when they went like 10-6. But other than that, man, the reputation just doesn't proceed pretty well for quarterbacks. So,
Abdul Carter.
Abdul Carter, yeah.
I mean,
to lighten the load on that Myles Garrett trade, or if that does happen.
Yeah, because you're gonna have to end up replacing him. Because I honestly think Myles Garrett isn't gonna sign a contract, and they're gonna have to get something for Myles Garrett. So I think that Abdul Carter going to Cleveland would be that's a good fit.
All right, then we have the Giants, man. I like Shedeur Sanders to the Giants.
I was saying Travis Hunter to the Giants.
Travis Hunter? Okay. Travis would be good.
If you have him at corner half the game, you won't have to worry about, or majority of the game, you won't have to worry about the limelight. But then also with Neighbors there and you line up Hunter on specific packages, man, so that's a dynamic wide receiver tandem. And so you wouldn't have to worry about Hunter coming in and being your number one receiver at all. There's a clear number one receiver, but when you have a package in with Hunter, you would have to watch out on both sides of the field. So I think that would be a great fit for Travis Hunter.
Yeah, that would be a good fit. Who else we got there? I mean, they need cornerbacks too, so that'd be a good spot where he can work at. Daniel Jones. Hold on. So who is going to be the Giants quarterback next year? They don't know yet. Yeah, they're drafting one of the two.
Sam Darnold.
That wouldn't be bad. That wouldn't be bad. Sam Darnold right there wouldn't be bad. Yeah, if they signed. Didn't you just said that, right? They signed Darnold, have Neighbors and Hunter. Okay.
Yeah. You signed Sam Darnold, have Neighbors and Hunter. Like they had a decent offensive line, wasn't great. They can build around that. If I was them, I would draft Hunter, work on building their offensive line. Their defense was already beast last year, and then you can give it a go, man. That's a decent team.
All right, now we got the Pats. Now I know the Pats could use another cornerback and receiver. I also liked Hunter going there. I think I just like Hunter going anywhere except for the Browns.
Nobody wants anybody to go to the Browns, man.
Who's the top offensive lineman in this draft? I need to look.
Defensive lineman, I can see, but Armand from Missouri, offensive tackle.
Okay. Protect your asset. You got to protect Drew May.
Drake, man.
We got it. You got to protect Drake May, man. I want them to draft a offensive lineman, or I think that'll be best for them.
Maybe they'll make a trade, man. Honestly, the Raiders moving up would be good for them to move.
And then that's a talk too. Yeah. So I mean, there's rumors and talk about them getting Shador, him going to Vegas with the Brady connection and everything. So that'll be tight too.
I think the Raiders really move up to get Shador at number 4. I think they move up.
Yeah.
Down to number 6. And then that way you'll have Shador, Pete Carroll with the fountain of youth out there coaching them up.
That boy like 70. How old is he? Like 70? He's 72, 73 still coaching.
But he's a young 73, man.
Right.
But I think that's a good fit for them. Like Pete Carroll and the Raiders organization, he would have Brock Bowers. Like they have some decent weapons. Normally, I'm never for a QB going to the Raiders, but I think Shador in Vegas, man, I think he'd be looking good in some black and silver. I think Coach Prime would be happy with that, and then having Brady part of the organization, I think that definitely helps, you know. So that's what I would like to see.
All right. And that's big time. And for the Jags, I think they get Will Johnson if Hunter isn't right there. But I would like to see them get Mason Graham, that defensive tackle out of Michigan.
I was about to say Mason Graham.
Yeah, at this spot, I think he's like the best player right now.
Yeah, I think Mason Graham would fit for Jacksonville. It's gonna be a bounce back year for Trevor Lawrence, man. I don't get a Trevor Lawrence slander. I know he had a rough year last year, but the year before he had a really solid year, and he played hurt a lot last year. Their coaching, I'm definitely not gonna blame their coaching because he's a good coach. Last year he got fired, but I think that Trevor will have a good bounce back year. I think he's a decent quarterback. If not, man, I would love to see him get traded to the Steelers. I think that'd be a good fit. I know they're trying to prime away anyway.
That'd be dope. All right. So other news, we had DEEBO traded to Commanders. This is the big breaking news story of the weekend. DEEBO got traded to the Commanders for a 5th rounder. And I texted in the group chat. I said, this is definitely a salary dump. And then you hit me with it. I didn't even process this that far enough. You said, yeah, they're trying to make room for that Purdy contract.
Yeah, 100%. That's all it is. And then I felt like last year DEEBO was a rental. They finally got that deal done, but they wanted to get that deal done to see if they could run it back and win the Super Bowl. And last year, when the wheels fell off, they were like, okay, it's time for us to kind of start shifting around talent because a lot of those guys are aging, you know.
Yeah, man.
CMC is CMC himself right now. I mean, he had 2 solid years of no injuries. We're reverting back to the years they had in Carolina.
Right. The law of averages, man. It was bound to happen. All those touches, all that work he put in, it was going to happen. It was going to happen. Mm-hmm. Now this is the last year of the contract. So the Commanders, it's looking like they're all in. And with this trade, they don't even have to. I mean, they're all in, but this is pretty much given to them, you know. But for sure, it was. I mean, I'm pretty sure 49ers didn't want any players back. They didn't want to take any more contracts. So, like you said, it's a salary dump.
Yeah.
I think they have to pay him $17 million, or he's a $15.8 million cap hit, and I think with incentives or whatever, it's $17.5 million. So, like you said, this is 1 year rental for the Commanders. Let's plug DEEBO in, see what we can do.
Yeah, I think that he'll be a great fit for the Commanders. The DEEBO I think he has 2 years left on his contract?
No, this is last year.
This is last year on his contract?
Okay. Because what, he got it year before last, right?
Yeah, I guess I guess they signed him for a 1 year deal because he was holding out.
Right.
So I mean, DEEBO in DC would be a good fit. If they had a cap space while Daniels is on his rookie year contract, so they can afford to have a good explosive receiver to add on to their team who can also handle the ball out of the backfield. They have a lot of versatility.
They do.
Receivers. So,
I don't think we'll see a complete regression, but if history, comes around the same, we saw a slight regression from C.J. Stroud. No knock on C.J. Stroud, but his rookie year was just amazing. The man looked like he had been out there for years playing captain quarterback for a professional football team. And I expect to see something somewhat similar for Jaden Daniels. So getting DEEBO, a guy where you can just dump the ball and let him cook, is definitely a good move.
But even with we talking about CJ's regression,
it wasn't I'm not saying just a complete regression, but the first year was just astronomical. He was an
MVP candidate his first year. So
it would be hard to match that kind of year for anybody. That's what I'm saying. And then he had injuries to his receivers much throughout the season too.
Tank Dell was out a lot last year.
He lost Diggs. Nico was out for a good bit.
It'll be interesting to see where Diggs goes this year.
That's a good one too.
If there's even a real big market for Diggs right now,
Right.
It'll be interesting to see.
All right, man.